Recyclico, making lithium-ion last forever. Recyclico's patented recycling process achieves up to 100% recovery of battery metals from lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, and aluminum. Recyclico Battery Materials Incorporated trades on the TSX Venture AMY, on the OTCQB AMYZF, and Frankfurt ID4. For more information, visit recyclicode.com or phone us at 778-574-4444. Recyclico, making lithium-ion last forever.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is market historian Bob Hoye. He's the chief investment strategist for chartsandmarkets.com. He's speaking to us from Vancouver. Welcome back to the show, Bob.
Yeah, hi, Jim. Here we are Friday morning, and we've got our listeners out there, and the markets are always fascinating, so here we are.
Well, we have a question from me today. And it's about the BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, now Saudi Arabia. Some other countries are going to meet up towards the end of the month. And again, they said they're going to discuss what they call the unit, a digital currency backed 40% by gold and 60% fiat currencies from those countries. It's right now, it's already pre-trading, if that's possible. It's roughly worth $20 US, give or take a penny or two on either side on any given day, but roughly $20.
Yeah.
Any hopes of this thing turning official, Bob, when they meet?
Well, I wish them well on it. The idea of having at least a partial convertibility to gold is good. Then, but about 6 months ago, one of their ideas on it included being convertible into commodities, which instantly, to me, said the guys haven't done enough research. You just don't have a currency backed by commodities. Good grief! But yeah, throughout history, the best currency has always been backed by gold convertibility, and I think the only way you can get the Fed Reserve or any central bank disciplined is to put the currency on a gold standard and do it. And it prevents the state cheating with the compliant central bankers depreciating currency in order to use inflation as a means of stealing wealth and earnings from the ordinary folk. So, anyhow, it sounds like the BRIC idea is improving a little, and I'm watching it with interest.
Now, of course, talking to some people like Rick Ackerman, he points out there are trillions and trillions and trillions of U.S. dollars locked up in investments all around the planet.
Yeah.
It's not just a Eurocentral and North American phenomena. It's everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, I'd like you to take well, first of all, it's not going to be a note. There's nothing physical. It's all digital. So one bad lightning storm, you could wipe out all their currency. Just an electronic pulse.
The world market determines which is going to be the senior currency, and it's usually involved with the country being having the world's financial center. Now it's the U.S. dollar and New York. Hitherto it was pound sterling and London. And before that, going way back, it was the guilder and Antwerp, when Antwerp was the financial and commercial center of the world. And each of these transitions, to show it off, you can go even back to the Roman denarius, and then later on, as Rome collapsed and you went into the 1300s, it became the florin, and so you always have a history of a senior currency whereby everything is priced off of that, and it's the market that determines what is going to be the senior currency, not some government agency or these days some economist employed by the state to mess things up. So, yeah, no, it's now the U.S. And then here's like what really is in the post-bubble depressions, previous ones, the purchasing power of the senior currency goes up, and it also outperforms all other currencies. It becomes, I've used the term, chronically firm. And a part of the mechanism is that in the debt bubble, a whole chunk of the debt is due and payable in the world's financial center. Now New York, now dollars. So the whole debt bubble is essentially a short position on dollars. And then when debt becomes intolerable, then companies and people and countries become very interested in paying off debt. So this is why Argentina complains about the U.S. dollar. They owe a whole bunch of them in New York, due and payable in New York, and means they have to sell something, the other guy's currency or whatever, in order to get their hands on U.S. dollars, in order to meet the obligation in New York. And then in the 1550s, Thomas Gresham was the British agent in the money market in Antwerp. And this is where some of his letters were so explanatory. And one of the main things that Gresham wrote was, it is very difficult to service debt from a weak currency into a strong senior currency. So, and we're going to see a lot of that over the next few years.
We'll take a look at some of the headlines that caught Bob's eye right after this.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Bob Hoye. Headline from Drudge. Boom! More fresh records for stocks.
Yep, that's a sensational headline, and it is. The senior indexes are making fresh records, so yeah.
But what's behind this, Bob? Because once you take NVIDIA, Apple, and Microsoft and Tesla out of the picture, what is there?
Well, actually, the S&P has made new highs, and I'll tell you, I've got the secret on it.
Mm-hmm.
There's more buyers than sellers.
Ooh, is that how it works?
Ooh, yeah. So, no, it's often September, first part of September can be seasonally strong, and then if there's going to be problems, they'll be discovered in October. And the excitement, we were looking for good stuff into mid-year, and the big action in the Magnificent Seven, plus some unnamed individual ones, were going straight up. It was marvelous stuff, and those biggies have corrected. But the S&P senior indexes are making new highs here, and we were looking for strength into September, and now it's pretty good on the strength. And so we'll just watch and see if it rolls over somewhere in the next 5 or 6 weeks. So,
headline: fear of missing out grips China's stock buyers.
I love that one. That's FOMO, F-O-M-O, fear of missing out. It's good stuff.
What's the story there, Bob? I know they had a huge stimulus package to try to pick up their economy. Is that what's behind this?
It's just people want to buy stocks. Yeah, I love it. FOMO, fear of missing out. Yeah, they got to be in the game.
However, another headline from behind the bamboo curtain, China's housing glut collides with its shrinking population.
Yeah, I think that one really says something. They've got too many houses, and the population, I don't know that the population's shrinking, but it's not growing. And they're overbuilt. And we've seen towers, apartment towers, maybe 4 or 5 of them in a cluster, all empty and all deteriorating. So then the next big thing will be knocking them down.
And then, of course, they'll say, well, we'll build them better, so invest in it again.
Well, of course, you know what they say about real estate. They're not making it anymore, and you're always going to run out. But no, real estate markets can get hit just as hard as the stock market when you're into a post-bubble contraction.
Well, China's one-child policy has come back to bite them. They do have a population that's going to start to shrink as
I think
the
maybe
age
you're
of
right
down.
on that. Yeah, I'd forgotten. Yeah, they had the. Oh, that was a generation ago when the communists decided that only one child, so they preferred the boys, and so many the little girl infants were allowed to die, I guess.
And also, again, the Chinese government doesn't want this to be publicized. There are roving gangs in rural China, like along the mountains and stuff. And a lot of China, again, is just wilderness. People, everybody lives along the coast.
Yeah.
They kidnap young women and take them, 1,000 miles away where they have no family or friends, and they marry them off. Because of the one-child policy, there's now a 60-40 imbalance between men and women.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So they caused a problem they didn't anticipate, and that's usually what happens when the heavy-handed government gets involved, isn't it, Bob?
Oh, indeed. Yeah, they get an idea and they ram it through.
Now, let's go behind the former Iron Curtain. Russia's economy is signaling a fate worse than a recession.
I think a fate worse than a recession has got to be a depression, isn't that? Don't you think that?
Well, when you've got tens of thousands of young men being chewed up on a battlefield in Ukraine.
And it's also chewing up huge amounts of money.
Yeah.
And we're going to do a chart showing the price of crude oil.
Mm-hmm.
And every time it's high, Putin goes to war, going back to Chechnya in 2012. And it's going to be an interesting chart. Because he needs money to prosecute a war. So now they do not have a huge economy. They do have a big economy, but what I'm trying to say is that their reliance upon crude oil and natural gas exports is way too much. They need more economy. More of the normal economy. But anyways, they don't have that. So they're very reliant upon crude oil prices. And when it was down to, 67 a few weeks ago, hey, I thought this is going to be making things very uncomfortable for Putin. And then, as you know, we often get dismal lows seasonally for crude oil in December, January. So how low can it go on the next slide? Well, we don't know until it actually happens. But in this case, I'm editorializing, and the lower it goes, the more difficult it will be for Putin. And what could happen is with no economy and severe damage being done to the population in Russia with the Ukraine war, Putin's going to get booted out. I think so.
Yes, well, I read somewhere that Russia's economy is no bigger than Italy's.
Yeah, or as I say, the economy is there, but they're far too reliant upon crude oil as the main hummer for things. So, and crude oil goes down, it hits Russia more so than many other countries. So I'm actually, I said I'm editorializing on this one. I would be delighted to see the price of crude really crash, and get Putin and actually disarm him, and then the public uprising and gets rid of them. So that would be fascinating to watch.
Well, dictators like wars. Because then the population either has to back the war or be labeled a traitor.
Oh yeah, and then it's also a wonderful distraction for domestic hardship. Oh yeah, no, it's an old game by governments going way back. Is well, let's have a war to distract everybody.
Headline: New Titans of Wall Street: How trading firms stole a march on big banks. What did they do, Bob?
The trading firms are encroaching on traditional banking activities. That's what that one's about.
Well, now opening a bank seems to be the biggest deal. In Canada, we have grocery stores and tire stores opening banks. There's so much money to be made.
Yeah, everybody's getting in the game.
Headline: Global borrowing binge brings record $600 billion of debt sales. Who wants more debt? Well, I guess.
Right. Well, but the key words there are borrowing binge.
Yeah.
You know, that says it all.
So interest rates drop 0.5% in the U.S., a few percent in other places, Canada and Britain. That's enough to encourage people to borrow again?
No, it gets everybody excited. They think that falling interest rates is very good. But I'll repeat it. It's going as far back in time as you can. A business and investment boom, short rates like Treasury bills go up. And on a contraction, either a severe one or a depression, short interest rates go down. And then people here, it's an intuitive knee-jerk, is that they're thinking falling rates are going to be good for the market. Falling rates is the worst thing that can happen. And we've got a lovely chart of T-bill rate versus the S&P. And I forget which part of the year it was. It was after the peak in 2007. And it shows a terrific plunge in the S&P at the same time as the T-bill rate is taking a huge plunge. So we had the high for T-bill rates a couple of months ago, and they're down a little, but it'll be interesting to see when the next decline comes in. Now, they had an employment number that was very good for some reason or other, but we'll just watch the T-bill rate, and if it resumes the downtrend and gets a little more urgent, then we know we're going into the bad times.
Headline: In a Florida town ravaged by storms, homeowners all want to sell. And Bob Campbell on This Week in Money talks about it as well. Florida is not the go-to place anymore for real estate because they keep getting hit by these devastating storms. And Helene was the deadliest hurricane to hit the U.S. since Katrina.
Yeah. Well, in September 1926, at that time, the whole of the investors on the east coast of the United States were buying property and swamps in Florida. It became quite the rage. Everybody had to own something there, and then it had a peak in 1926, and then I think it was September when a hurricane came in, a severe one, and flattened everything, and then there was. That sucked a lot of capital out of, or destroyed a lot of capital in 1926. So and the markets had a major loss in there, but you still went up and completed the stock bubble in 1929. So then when it rolled over, a lot of capital had been destroyed in the Florida adventure. And so this is where I've looked at it very closely here now, and it's quite similar. Maybe the date for the storm in 1926 was September 15th, and I think this one was September 28th, but don't quote me on those numbers. I wrote them down, and I haven't got them right in front of me. But anyway, September can be hurricane season, and the speculation in real estate recently is collapsing, and it's very similar to 1926.
And an interesting comment here, John Kerry, noted Democrat, labels the First Amendment right to free speech a major block to curbing disinformation.
Oh, yeah. He's the so-called climate czar. And these guys really believe that give me your taxes and I'll fix the weather for you. And he's so caught up in his mission that he wants to bypass the First Amendment on free speech and prevent people from talking against climate hysteria. He's a madman.
Now, to wrap up the show, on Monday, October 14th, Canada will observe Thanksgiving Day. The U.S. Thanksgiving is celebrated Thursday, November 28th. By the way, Canada started celebrating Thanksgiving 60 years before the U.S. did. John Cabot. Anyway, just because they were thankful, I think, mostly that they survived the fall in Canada.
Yeah.
Now, you sent me this very interesting picture. This is from a 1930 copy of the popular magazine Look. And here it is. It's a picture of planked Spam for Thanksgiving dinner. This is 1930 when people were poor. And so you take a whole Spam right out of the can, rub it with brown sugar, place on a plank, well-seasoned wood, an old breadboard will do, says the ad. Surround it with thick tomato slices, capped with mushroom halves, well doused with butter. Bake 25 minutes in a hot oven, then ring the mashed potatoes around it and slip it back in the oven for quick browning. Bring it to the table, plank and all. It serves four and hits the spot.
Yep, and they're gonna the tin Spam is shown on the platter whole. So then you would go through the grand display of carving.
There's little squares in it.
As if it was a roast beef or something like that.
Like a roast ham, a proper ham, except
Yeah. No, it is. I don't know why I had that Look magazine. Maybe I bought it because in a secondhand store because of the cover. And then going through it, I found that this little advertisement article, and I thought, oh, that's great. So I clipped it out, and I now have it framed, and it's usually hanging on the wall in my study. So yeah, we've had some. So there you are. You can write in and or call in, and we'll send you the recipe for plank Spam.
Oh. The picture itself is just priceless.
Yeah.
Well, if you have any questions for Bob or you want a picture of plank Spam, you can inquire by going to info@housestreet.com.
Yeah, we provide various services, don't we, Jim?
Usually we talk about gold or silver or crude oil, but today it's Spam. And I saw, it wasn't that long ago, Spam is still one of the most popular dishes in Hawaii. They love their pork.
Oh, yeah. Well, I used to keep Spam and fry it up, and then I'd cook it in by slices fried up, or then when I got the hot air fryer, it worked well there. But lately, I've been off of Spam. I know that I've got a tin in the cupboard in case of an emergency.
Yes, I'm very much a canned salmon man. I eat a lot of that, but not a lot of Spam.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm sorry. I have a tin of canned Spam.
Yeah, just in case.
For emergencies.
I'm more of a corned beef guy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, that Hereford corned beef?
Yes.
That's good stuff.
It's good stuff.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I keep it, too. Yeah. In the fridge. I keep the tin of corned beef in the fridge. It slices up better that way when you go for it, so...
Bob, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Yeah, Jim, we could change the back half of the show to the culinary department, can't we?
Yeah, and Monty Python singing spam, 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 spam.
Yeah. Okay, Jim, lots of fun. Look forward to next week.
My guest has been market historian Bob Hoye. He's the chief investment strategist for chartsandmarkets.com and also their chief spam chef. If you have any questions for Bob, you can send them to info@housestreet.com. Our YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. Find us on X @Housestreet. We're also on Facebook. I'm Jim Goddard. Thank you for listening.
Comments made on HoweStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HoweStreet.com radio is a production of Howe Street Media Incorporated.